Dr. Timi Ayola believed every life was worth saving. Criminals, victims, liars, saints, he treated them all the same. He didn't care what you had done before entering his office. Inside his clinic, everyone was human. It was both his greatest strength and what people called his greatest weakness. Timi worked at a small private clinic in Lekki. Nothing fancy. Nothing that screamed prestige. Just a place where tired, broken people came to breathe. On the morning everything changed, he was exhausted. He had been awake for 19 hours and had stitched, lectured, and reassured himself through all of them. He rubbed his eyes, took off his crooked glasses, and muttered, "God, give me one peaceful patient today. Just one, please." Of course, life had other plans. A nurse rushed in, panting. "Doctor. Someone important is here to see you." Timi blinked. "Important how?" The nurse shivered dramatically. "You see." Before he could ask more, the clinic door blew open. And she walked in. Bukola Edinaran didn't step into a room. She arrived. Tall. Beautiful. Dressed in quiet luxury. Her perfume whispered money. Her eyes whispered danger. Everything about her seemed to grab a sense of authority. Every patient in the waiting room paused and stared. Timi tried not to stare. He failed a little, because such a sight was impossible to ignore. She approached his office with the kind of confidence that made people move out of her way without a word. No smile. No warmth. Just a heavy, perfect mask. When she stepped inside and closed the door behind her, the air seemed to shrink. Timi cleared his throat and began to speak. "Good afternoon. Please, have a seat." She sat across from him in complete silence, just staring at him. Timi did not react. He just waited. And waited. And waited some more. But she didn't talk. Noticing how patient he was, she sighed sharply, irritated. "You're very patient," she muttered. "It's part of the job," he replied with a small smile. "Interesting." Dr. Timi pretended not to hear. Finally she spoke. "Doctor, do you think you can help me?" He nodded gently. "Tell me, I'm sure I can do something to help you." Her fingers tightened on her handbag. "When people irritate me, even for small, harmless reasons, I feel this urge. This urge." She swallowed. "To hurt. To eliminate or end the irritation at all cost." Timi didn't move. Didn't blink. And he certainly didn't judge. That irritated her a bit more. She continued, voice low, dark. "I've acted on it. More than once. I don't know how to stop myself." He asked, "And you came here because you want to stop acting on it?" he said softly. She hesitated, then nodded once. There was something about his calmness, his steadiness, that shook her more than fear ever had. "Why are you not running?" she asked suddenly. Timi shrugged lightly. "Running won't help you, and that's what I'm here to do." Bukola stared at him, annoyed and confused at the same time. He kept talking, gently. "Miss Bukola, anger doesn't make you a monster. Losing control doesn't make you hopeless. You're here. That means you're trying to get better, and that should be more than enough for now." His voice was soft. Unbothered. Too unbothered. And then, suddenly as he continued to talk, her irritation reached its peak. His gentleness provoked her. Not because he said anything wrong, but because it was the first time in years she left such warmth from someone, and it made her feel unsafe and unsure. That made the edge return. Her heartbeat spiked. Her fingers twitched. Her vision sharpened. "Doctor," she said, her voice suddenly cold. Timi looked up. Bukola stood abruptly, grabbed the nearest instrument from his desk, a small scalpel, and stepped toward him, placing it at his neck. He didn't panic. He simply stood slowly, hands visible. He said softly, "Please calm down, Miss Bukola, and place the knife down." But she was already too close. The edge was screaming inside her, telling her to slash his throat, end the irritation. She pushed the blade slightly and made a mark. Her breath hitched, staring at his face, his neck, his lips. In that moment her body reacted even before she could think about it. Suddenly she grabbed his collar and kissed him. Hard. Desperate. Almost angry. Timmy froze, shocked, but didn't push her away. And like a switch being flipped, the violent urge disappeared. Completely vanished. Bukola stepped back, confused and breathless. "What is happening?" she whispered. Timmy touched his lips, stunned. "I wasn't expecting that." She stared at her hands, trembling. The edge, it disappeared, completely vanished. She looked up quickly, dropping the knife. "Doctor, what is this?" Timmy blinked. "Please have a seat." Bukola took one glance at the doctor and rushed out of the room without another word. It was as if she had been struck by lightning. No words, no reaction, just shocked. The following morning was the same as usual, patients stepping in and out and the sound of ambulance arriving until she walked in. Bukola stepped in. With a commanding aura, she sat at the other side of the table, then spoke. "Dr. Timmy," she said smoothly, her eyes sharp, calculating. "I have a proposition for you." Dr. Timmy looked up, brow slightly raised. "Oh, is that so?" His tone was even, polite, wary. "I can give you anything," Bukola continued. Her voice low and enticing. "Anything you want. Money, power, connections, all of it. But there's one condition." She leaned slightly forward. "You stay by my side. You remain my cure." Dr. Timmy set his pen down carefully and shook his head. "Miss Bukola, I don't want your money. I don't need your power. And I certainly don't want to be anyone's cure. Am I here to help? Yes, but not like that." Her eyes narrowed. This wasn't supposed to happen. Her offer was supposed to make him bend to her will, to make him see that he needed her as much as she needed him. And yet, he refused without a second thought. Bukola exhaled slowly, composing herself. She didn't shout. She didn't lash out. She simply inclined her head slightly, masking the storm inside her with a cold, controlled grace. "Very well, doctor," she said, voice calm but icy. "I apologize for disturbing you, excuse me." And just like that, she turned and left, her heels clicking away, leaving Dr. Timmy staring after her, a flicker of concern crossing his face. But even with that, he returned to his charts, trying to ignore the tension the woman had brought into his office, unaware that this refusal would set the stage for an entirely unexpected twist in the days to come. Later that evening, Dr. Timmy's walk home was quiet, the city lights reflecting off the wet pavement after a brief rain. He had barely stepped onto the street when two men emerged from the shadows, grabbing him roughly and covering his mouth. "Let go," he shouted, struggling, but the men were strong, efficient. Within moments he lost consciousness. He was then shoved into a waiting car, blindfolded, and driven away. When he finally regained consciousness, he found himself in a spacious, dimly lit room. Expensive curtains hung over the windows, and the faint scent of expensive perfume lingered in the air. And there she was. Bukola. Calm. Composed. Dangerous. And entirely in control. "Miss Bukola," he said, blinking, trying to assess the situation. You had me kidnapped." She walked toward him slowly, heels clicking against the floor. "I did," she said simply. "Because you refused my offer today." Dr. Timmy brow furrowed. "Miss Bukola, you could have just let me help you. You didn't need to do this." She stopped a few feet away, hands on her hips. "Doctor, do you understand what's happening here? You are different. I've tried everything else, people, money, power, nothing calms me. Except you. Dr. Timmy sighed, running a hand over his face. Miss Bukola, I don't want to be your toy. Do I help people? Yes. But I don't play this kind of games. Her expression softened for just a moment, a flicker of vulnerability passing through her eyes. Then it hardened again. Who said I was asking? Dr. Timmy's voice was calm but firm. Miss Bukola. I'm not going to let you manipulate me. I will help you, but it has to be my choice. It cannot be fear or force. Bukola's lips twitched in the faintest smile, almost amused. We will see about that. He realized then that this was no ordinary patient. No ordinary woman. She was brilliant, rich, dangerous, and utterly dependent on him in a way that made the air in the room almost heavy with tension. And so began the delicate dance between them, her testing him resisting her, both leaning on each other, hoping they might just find a strange, twisted kind of salvation. Moments later Bukola left, the heavy steel door sliding shut behind her with a low, final thud. Dr. Timmy stood frozen for a moment, then immediately began scanning the room again, walls, corners, vents, hinges, every inch of the place. No windows. Reinforced metal. A single overhead light. Even the door handle was on the outside. He tried the door for the 10th time. It didn't move. He tried the vents. Bolted. He even tried stacking the metal chair to reach the light fixture, hoping for something, anything, to tamper with. Nothing. Every attempt failed. Eventually exhaustion settled over him like a blanket. He sat on the narrow bed, leaned back against the cold wall, and whispered to himself. Stay calm, Timmy. Think. But the adrenaline wore off. His body finally won. He drifted into an uneasy sleep. The next morning, Dr. Timmy woke up at the sound of a soft metallic click. The door opened. Bukola walked in. She was dressed in an elegantly deep green silk that hugged her frame, her presence as commanding as a queen's. Behind her was one of her men, a large, expressionless figure, holding a neatly pressed charcoal suit. Timmy straightened immediately. The man stepped forward and held the suit out toward him. Timmy's brows drew together. What is this? Bukola clasped her hands behind her back, her eyes bright. You'll be going somewhere very important with me today, she answered simply. Timmy rose from the bed slowly. I'm not going anywhere with you. Bukola's smile widened, beautiful, terrifying, soft like velvet but sharp like a blade. She took a single step closer. Dr. Timmy. Her voice lowered, silky and cold. You know, doctor, there are a lot of people I can hurt if you prove difficult with me. Your mother. Your patients. Or maybe your cute little adorable sister. Don't test my patience, doctor. She tilted her head gently, as if speaking to a stubborn child. Let's make it easier, for both of us, okay? Her man shifted his weight slightly, waiting for her signal. Dr. Timmy inhaled, jaw locked, fighting down both anger and fear. Bukola took the suit from her guard, held it out herself, and said with quiet authority. Put it on. Dr. Timmy had no choice. The suit fit perfectly, almost as if it had been made for him. Bukola's eyes scanned him approvingly, and he felt a flicker of unease in her calm, measured stare. There was no arguing, there never was with her. The car ride was silent. Outside, Lagos glimmered like a city of stars, but inside the sleek black vehicle, the air was heavy with anticipation. When they arrived, the doors opened to reveal a world he had only read about in magazines, crystal chandeliers, women in gowns that shimmered with every movement, men in tailored tuxedos, laughter and clinking glasses floating through the air. It was a world completely separate from the narrow streets and busy clinics he knew. Bukola strode confidently, heels clicking against the marble floor. She moved with purpose, her attention fixed on a man standing near the grand staircase. "Mr. Kobe," she said, her voice low but firm, as she approached him. Timmy followed closely behind Bukola, his senses on high alert. The man she approached, tall, impeccably dressed, every gesture oozing confidence, seemed to exist solely to test her patience. He didn't just smirk, it was the kind of smirk that suggested he knew exactly how to push buttons, how to play with someone's edge without ever seeming overtly aggressive. He leaned slightly toward Bukola as she spoke, enough to invade her space, but not enough to be socially unacceptable. His fingers brushed hers, not once, but twice, deliberately slow, as if measuring her reaction. His eyes, sharp and calculating, followed every flicker of her expression, searching for the moment she might falter. Timmy's instincts flared. He reached out and grabbed her hand, holding it tightly, letting his presence be known, not as a subordinate, not as a bodyguard, but as someone who had meaning in her life. Bukola immediately noticed, then paused mid-step, her eyes meeting his. A faint, incredulous smile curved her lips, as if she was leading him in. Then, as if responding to the invisible tension, she leaned forward and pressed her lips to his. A kiss, deliberate and commanding, right there in the middle of the crowd. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the guests. Some froze. Some whispered behind hands. But Bukola didn't pull back. Her lips lingered against his. It was a short, deliberate kiss that made him flinch a little. Timmy swallowed hard. The world around him still glittered, but now it felt smaller, and strangely safe. Bukola then straightened, turned back to Mr. Kobe, and with a voice that carried over the opulent hall, said, "Let's discuss business." Mr. Kobe had heard rumors of Bukola's edge, but today he wanted to see it for himself. Just maybe he had found the weakness of the queen of the underworld. Throughout their conversation, Timmy didn't let go of her hand. He held her hand as the meeting continued to the very end of it. After a long day, they finally got home. Timmy stepped out, still in the crisp suit she had made him wear. They both stepped inside the living room. Bukola leaned against the counter, casually crossing her arms. "So," she said, voice playful, "you know, back there at the party." Timmy stiffened immediately. I don't know what you mean," he replied, trying to sound calm, though his pose betrayed him. "Oh, don't play innocent with me, Dr. Timmy," Bukola purred. "You held my hand first. Don't even try to deny it." Timmy swallowed. I was doing my duty," he said quickly, trying to sound convincing. "As your doctor. It was my obligation to." "Obligation, really?" Bukola interrupted, rolling her eyes dramatically. "You always sound so serious. But let me remind you." She stepped closer, tilting her head. "Your hand found mine. Voluntarily, should I take that as your submission?" Timmy's jaw clenched. Then fell silent. Took a breath and finally spoke, "Miss Bukola, it was my duty, nothing else." Bukola smirked, stepping even closer so their faces were inches apart. "You know," she whispered, "if it wasn't obligation, if you weren't thinking about rules or duties, what would you call it?" He froze, the air between them thickening with tension. Before he could answer, Bukola leaned in and pressed her lips to his. It was soft at first. Dear Timmy tried to resist, but as the kiss deepened, his body could no longer pretend and he kissed her back. It ended up as a long, passionate moment, then Bukola pulled away. Timmy blinked, stunned. That part of him that prided itself on discipline, that wanted to protest, had suddenly vanished. What was happening to him? Bukola chuckled, seeing the effect she had. "Dr. Timmy, if you kiss someone like that, you might give them the wrong idea." Timmy turned his head and looked away. "I guess you are not as strong-willed as you thought you were." Leaving out a light smile, she walked towards him and murmured into his ears, "Why don't you get some sleep? I have a feeling that you are gonna need it." Then she turned to leave. In that moment, Timmy realized she wasn't just teasing him. She was tempting, trying to completely break his will, and deep down he knew he didn't have much time until she did. Suddenly Mr. Timmy knew he had to do something, so he fell silent for a moment then spoke. Wait. How about this? In exchange for my freedom, I will help you find a way to control your edge. Without me. Bukola cited, interesting, and you think you can do that? If I succeed you let me go. And leave me alone. She then replied with a smirk, fine doctor, find me a cure. And I let you go. Weeks passed since their deal and Bukola had locked herself in her room, without letting anyone in or out, and this made Timmy a little worried. One night dear Timmy decided to go and check up on Bukola in her room. The guards were already asleep and there was no one guarding her door. Once he entered he found her sitting on the floor with her head between her legs. Timmy walked towards her slowly, think whether to wake her or let her be. Slowly he tapped her on the head. As soon as she was touched she ran to the corner of her room murmuring, "Please daddy, don't hit me, I'm sorry. Please, I will never try to leave again, please don't hit me again." Dr. Timmy slowly approached her. "It's okay, I won't hurt you. You are okay, and here." Bukola looked up with tears in her eyes. Timmy instantly froze. The woman who wanted men to be feared, untouchable, was the same woman in front of him. She was quite fragile or even vulnerable. He slowly took hold of her hand and pulled her into a tight hug as she cried her eyes out. Timmy didn't know what he was doing helping the woman who kidnapped him, but she needed him in that moment and that's all he knew. That night a bond formed between a doctor and his kidnapper. The days to come were different, soft and quiet, and normal. Bukola's edge began to gradually fade away. She was getting rapidly better under the care of Dr. Timmy. She slowly grew to know a feeling that was indeed new to her. This feeling she had. It was calm, exciting and better than anything she knew before. Dr. Timmy's life also turned upside down. The woman who he once knew as untouchable had become more to him than anything he could put into words. One night dear Timmy sat at the edge of the stairs. When Bukola came to join him, she sat beside him with her hands between her legs. She stared at him for a while then finally spoke. "Timmy, is something bothering?" Timmy replied, "I was just thinking about how we started out and where we are now." Bukola took his hand, placing hers on it. "It's true, I wasn't very kind back then." "Not very kind, you kidnapped me." They both took a glance at each other and laughed out loud. Bukola suddenly stopped laughing, closed her eyes and leaned in for a kiss, but this time she stopped halfway, giving Dr. Timmy a choice to decide for himself what he wanted. For a moment her eyes remained closed, but Dr. Timmy didn't respond. Finally she opened her eyes. Right in that moment Timmy kissed her back. That night Bukola found something that she never thought she could have, love, but as we say, nothing lasts forever. One day everything fell apart. It was a rainy evening when everything went wrong. Bukola had just finished reviewing some documents in the Home Office, plans for her business expansions, careful calculations to prevent rivals from striking. The rain pounded against the windows like a warning drum. Suddenly, the door burst open. Kobe, flanked by two men, stepped inside. His face was a mask of fury and calculated malice. "Bukola, who do you think you are, always trying to play God, huh? Always trying to take what's mine?" Bukola's pulse quickened, but she stayed calm, a dangerous glint in her eyes. "Kobe, what are you doing? Do you have a death wish? You know you are not allowed to kill someone in the circle." Timmy stood slightly in front of her. "Bukola, let me handle this." Kobe sneered. "Do you think you can protect her, little doctor?" In a flash, Kobe fired his gun. The shot rang out, deafening against the walls. Timmy instinctively pushed Bukola aside, but it wasn't enough. The bullet hit him, and he stumbled, collapsing to the floor. Blood spread across his shirt, stuck against the pale interior. Bukola froze for a heartbeat. Her heart thundered. The edge, her dark, little instinct, flared to life. Her hands itched for knives, her mind screamed for retribution, but then she looked down at the man she had come to love. The one who had become her anchor, her calm, her cure. Tears threatened her eyes as she knelt beside him. Timmy, stay with me. Don't you dare leave me now. The word narrowed to a single point, Kobe, standing smugly at the doorway, and Timmy, bleeding and trembling in her arms. Bukola's mind raced. If she gives in to her edge, if she kills him, even accidentally, she might lose Timmy forever. But if she doesn't, she might fail to stop Kobe from leaving, or worse. Her hand hovered over a nearby letter opener. Her breath came in quick, shallow bursts. Kobe, she said, voice dangerously low. You think this is just a game? I will end you if anything happens to him. Kobe's smirk faltered slightly. What has happened to you, Bukola? He thought to herself. A woman who cares so less about human life, was she the same woman before him now? Bukola's eyes burned with controlled fury. I'm letting you go, get out now. With precision and speed, she grabbed medical supplies, pressed them against Timmy's wound, and began stabilizing him. Her edge simmered beneath the surface, restrained by a single thought: he cannot die. Kobe, realizing this had become more than he could handle, he left, leaving Timmy and Bukola in the room alone. Timmy's hand found hers weakly. I'm so glad you are safe. She exhaled, brushing a wet strand of hair from his face. Timmy, you need to stay awake, okay? Listen to me, you can't fall asleep. Look, you have grown so much, you can now fight the edge on your own, you don't need me anymore. Bukola shouted with tears falling down her face. No, I still need you, please, you can't leave me now, I love you. She held his hand tightly as she felt the life leave his body. Outside, the rain continued, but inside, the quiet hum of their shared heartbeat filled the room. A fragile truce ended between her darkness and the man who had become her light.